Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Karibuni sana. Welcome to the final module of the DTB KBA 2024 Financial Literacy and Enterprise Development Training. Karibuni sana. This is module 7, and it is on tapping into cross-border trade. So we welcome you as always. We'd love to hear where you're coming from, where you're joining us from, and importantly even is your key takeaways from the last 7 modules that we have had. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your commitment and your dedication for the past 6 weeks. And today we are on the final week, the 7th week, and you have been committed. We have seen the engagement. We do receive your emails, and we will continue engaging you. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We have Caroline from Nairobi. We have Alice, who is in Nairobi, David from Mombasa. Thank you so much. We have Edward from Matasia, Duncan from Machakos, from all parts of Kenya, as well as outside of Kenya. Moses from Narok, Frank from Kisumu. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure walking this journey with you all. And as always, I will give an opportunity to maybe one or two participants to maybe share something that stood out for them, perhaps in the previous module or in other modules. What have you changed in your business? What have you implemented? What is working? Any feedback that you have, we are always glad to hear and to understand, so that even in future training sessions, we can continuously improve the module. So karibuni sana. Today's module is actually quite an exciting one. And it is, we have been working on your businesses from within. And today we want to expose you to how you can take a hold of opportunities outside of our borders and how best you can position your businesses. So I hope you are ready to learn and to gain insights from today's session. It's the final one, and I think we will end with a strong bang. So we have Victor and Lillian, who are our sign language interpreters. I will also write this on the chat, and you can be able to access sign language from there. So once again, karibuni sana. And allow me, without much further ado, to introduce our trainer for today. Today we have Madam Frida Owinga. She is an accomplished business leader and visionary entrepreneur with over 25 years of global experience. She's dedicated to nurturing talent, fostering sustainable job creation, women empowerment, and economic development. She's also passionate about leveraging expertise in driving Pan-African business growth and leadership transformation. Her professional experience is quite diverse, and I think you'll get to appreciate that all the more as you hear from her. But she is a regional director for We Connect International, and it provides consultation to members in the implementation and execution of global supplier diversity and inclusion strategies. She's also the founder of Passion Profit, and it is a pioneering leadership and business development organization. It has trained and impacted over 30,000 SMEs through direct training and strategic partnerships. So there's so much. She's also a founder of SME Founders Association, which is a dynamic learning and networking platform with a robust database of 11,000 SMEs. And so, I mean, I could go on and on. We have Madam Frida, who is really richly experienced in this area. And, you know, as we continue, you can share your comments, share your questions. But as we begin the training, as always, I will disable the chats to enable us to focus, and then we will have the Q&A tab open for any questions as we go along. So help me in welcoming Frida. Frida, karibu sana to the session.
Thanks very much, Mantuli, and good morning, everyone. I hope I can be heard clearly. I'm losing my voice, but it's still here. I'm grateful. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you and for taking time out to come and listen to this webinar. It's the last one. Uh, we save the we save the best for last, all right? And one of my favorite books says that better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So we appreciate DTB and Kenya bankers for this opportunity to share how to tap into cross-border trade. And before I start, I'd just like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you. Okay, the chat has been this. Can we allow them to write in the chat? I
Y-
want to ask them some questions.
Yes, yes, yes. We can leave it open for
All
this.
right. So, okay, we have I'd just like to hear from you. Who is in export and what are you exporting? You can put in the chat or can they put it in the question and answer in the box up there?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
always, yes,
yeah,
we can,
I think
whichever
that will
you
be
prefer. Yeah.
okay. So you'll help me read them. So who is in export and what are you exporting? Just do that. I'll give you a few minutes to answer that.
So we have a few answers coming in. We have Leon who exports capsicums, Beth who exports fresh fruits and vegetables.
Okay. So we
And
have
then,
people exporting. Uh-huh.
yes,
Carry on.
we have Eric who supports a business owner with exports of livestock. There's Dixon avocados. I think in the agricultural sector is where we're having coconut oil. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's good. So coconut oil, so that is still agriculture. Just give me 1 minute here. That is still agriculture. Fantastic. So today we are going to look at how to tap into the export trade. And I must warn you that this is an information session. At the end of it, you will have information. You'll need to go and do a little more research because we cannot cover everything on how to tap into cross-border trade in one session. I in one 90-minute session. So many times when we come into these spaces, we come very excited and we look forward to, going to change our life immediately. Your life will change, but it will change a step at a time. So thank you very much for being here. And let's see what we have here. So just a brief overview. Kenya, I'm sure you know, is the economical regional hub for East Africa. We are well situated. We have good roads. Despite all the things that you think about Kenya, you need to travel to other countries, then you'll really appreciate Kenya. Kenya, we have good service, that service that we complain about. We have good roads. We have nice hotels. And there's a lot going on for us. So let's appreciate our country. So as globalization proposes significant market expansion potential, businesses continue to seek opportunities to expand internationally. Notice it is an opportunity. It's not mandatory. It is an opportunity based on how you have developed your business. So to be able, I always make fun and say that to be able to succeed abroad, you must first succeed at home because charity begins at home. Effective exporting is essential for sustainable development because just selling locally is not enough for our GDP. It's a, Exporting supports long-term economic growth and prosperity, and it is known that those that export employ more people, and we want economic development where more people are employed. So exporting drives economic growth by generating new income streams, fostering innovation, creating jobs, and most importantly, improving competitiveness so that we are not just local champions, we also become international champions. Some of the things that we export as Kenyans, of course, I'm sure you know tea, coffee, horticultural products, textile and apparel, animal products, and petroleum products. You can take screenshots of the screen, and you can also. I'm sure you're going to receive these slides from DTB. So there are four main components in the export roadmap, and the first one is understanding the export landscape. You need to do your market research. My very first business I was sharing with Mantuli as we're getting ready for this program was in export. I was in trade, all right. I was in trade and I was exporting handicraft. I was exporting handicraft and I also imported cars. All right. So in exporting handicraft, doing market research required that I travel abroad. And my first travel abroad, I traveled with KNCCI. So KNCCI is a good place to be a member. I know as SMEs, sometimes we complain or we find the cost of joining these associations expensive. And yes, it can be expensive, but you see, expensive is relative. What is expensive today is not going to be expensive tomorrow, depending on how you invest. So it's important that we think of investing in opportunities that will help us to grow. So I invested in the Kenya National Chamber in KNCCI those days, and I was able to travel. They had a trade fair that was happening in Berlin, so I was able to travel and it opened my eyes forever. So today things are much easier. You can do market research on desktop market research. You can also go to the embassies. If you go to the embassies, you go to the trade section to ask them what you're looking for. Information is more readily available, bottom line, so you don't have to travel all the way to Berlin. I love traveling and I had the opportunity, so I'm grateful. So market research is critical. And most importantly, don't something that is already, if you're going to sell something that is already existing, you must find a way to be innovative. How can you add something on top? For instance, what we did when we were exporting handicrafts, we would get the artisans to do different designs as fast as samples, and then we'll show the buyers. After we show the buyers and the buyers say, yes, we want this, we need X number, then we'll order. But I found in that line of trade, many people would just copy what we are doing, carry the things in their luggage, and come and sell in the shops. That is not quite export, because export, you must go through regulatory requirements. What is the export tax that the income, the tax that you must pay on that? Okay, there's an excise duty you must pay on that, and we're going to come to that towards the end of the session. So what are the regulatory requirements? I'm going to share with you some of the documents that you need. And then the most critical part is the logistics and supply chain. Carrying items in your suitcase and going to sell abroad is reselling, but is not export. Ideally, you should have your things packed, you should have an invoice, you should have a packing list, and the things should be shipped by a logistics company, DHL, UPS, or whichever other company. And many people say that is so expensive. Why should I do that? And I can carry the things in my suitcase. So you must be clear. What do you want to do? Do you just want to sell things to increase, or are you building an export brand? I was building an export brand. So I was not carrying things in my suitcase. Every now and then I would travel to see the buyers. I would take samples. Those days we didn't have social media. We couldn't take pictures and send them. We had something called a telex. In fact, that was even before the fax. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, what are those? All right. That was the way for us to communicate. All right. So it's important to understand that export is a big deal, and it's a big deal in terms of you need to think through, what do you want to do as an organization? Do you want to sell abroad to increase your revenue and do the work of the business development that is required for you to be there? Now, building a sustainable, okay, I see there's a poll for you there. What are the ways of conducting market research? All right. So thank you very much, Mantuli. I guess that is you. So, what are the ways? Visiting embassies, desktop research, traveling to the country, all the above. Thank you. All right. So, I need to see my slides. I won't end the poll, I'll just close it on my end. Thank you. So, the second thing is building a sustainable export strategy. All right. For me, when I was exporting handicraft, I wanted to export handicraft that will be resold in retail stores. So I needed to go to buyer shows. There were shows every now and then, and you can get, I believe Keproba still has a list of when there are shows. Keproba is Kenya Promotion Brand Agency. So they normally have a list of when there are shows and when there are different things happening. But like I said earlier, you don't have to necessarily go. Now, when you know there's a show, you can go online, you can find who are the people who are going to be exhibiting there, and you can engage them. And now it's so much easier. You can find them on LinkedIn, you can find them on Facebook, and you can engage them, send them pictures of your samples, and see how to connect with them. We are living in a much, much, much better area. So your your product strategy, your export strategy will need to align with the country that you're going to be exporting to. For instance, I was exporting to Europe and I was also exporting to America. And those countries have different seasons. And in different seasons, there are different things, they're different, how can I say, they're different items that they require. I found it easy because knowing that there's summer, winter, spring, summer, winter, spring, fall, and then summer, no, spring, summer, and then fall, helped me to know what are the colors, and you'd always know what are the colors for spring, what are the colors for summer, and what are people looking for. So you must keep up with the trends of that country and not the trends of Kenya, because you are not selling to Kenyans. So it's critical to understand the trends of the country where you're going to be selling to, so that you have product differentiation and innovation. Innovation is critical. You can't create the same thing every season and they will buy. So in your export strategy, you'll need to understand what are the seasons on the other side, what do people look for in different seasons, what are the colors that people like in different seasons, so that you align with that. So it's almost like running two companies, all right? So in the export side, we had an export department, we had stores where the items are going to be kept. So you need to think of all this if you're going to export. How will you keep your products, especially if you're doing products? If you're doing services, you're better off, but you'll still need to think of what is a good, which software are you going to use? How are you going to store your documents? How are you going to store your pictures? And stuff like that. How are you going to make sure that you're protected, your IP, your intellectual property is protected? Because no services, it is your mind, it is your thinking. So how are you going to protect all that? And that is something that a legal mind can help you do. So strategic partnerships work. Strategic partnerships work very well. So I'm going to, as I share today, I'm going to be sharing every now and then. I will share examples from my trading company where we sold artifacts. Artifacts are pots, stone carvings, clothes, baskets, and all that. Or that we also had a travel company. But in both situations, we had partners on the other side. For the trade company, our partners were buyers of handicrafts, retail stores, stores that did how can I call it, interior design and stuff like that. Okay. So strategic partnerships are critical, especially if you don't want to, you must have a buyer who will be able to clear the things and get them sold at their shop or wherever else, so that you are not doing the whole work. That's why logistics and supply chain management is very critical, so that you have end-to-end support on the line, ensuring that your things arrive safely, your things arrive on time, especially because of seasons. There are items that need to arrive there at a certain time because the shops are going to open and use them as to promote that season. So you cannot afford to be late. One of the things I discovered in exporting is that international standards are very high. In Kenya, we tend to cut corners sometimes, or we delay and we give excuses. Abroad, if you do that, then you lose the whole shipment, you don't get paid. And this is all written in the contract. So when you get in touch with the buyer, an export buyer, you must make sure you have a contract. Read the terms carefully, because there'll be no excuses. All right, it didn't rain, this or the other. You must always have a contingency plan. So leveraging technology for export growth. Like I said earlier, today we live in a good time. When I did export, there was no social media. There was no email to send somebody a picture of the email. We weren't taking pictures the way we do today. So today we are in a better place. You can have your items on an e-commerce platform. Like we buy things from Alibaba. Alibaba is an e-commerce platform. You can buy things in wholesale and resell them. And there's a lot of that happens in China. You can find different e-commerce platforms to sell your things. Like Jumia is an e-commerce platform, but it's a local one for just local items. There's one I was thinking of, and it has slipped my mind. I will remember before we are done. That sells another e-commerce platform that sells internationally. And then you'll need to engage in digital marketing. And digital marketing is not just about waking up and posting things on social media, which is something that SMEs do a lot. But digital marketing is can be can be a master or a good friend. All right, if it masters you, you're just always there scrolling, but not doing anything. However, digital marketing, I believe, that was created to help us generate leads, to be able to generate leads so that you get a lead and then you're able to convert them. And what do I mean by that? Every business needs a way to generate leads, a way that you will tell people what you're doing. They may not want to buy right now, so you're going to save their contact and continue to follow them up until they're ready. Just posting on social media to get a like is one way, but the best, and to get followers is another way, because you can boost and get that. But the most critical thing is you want to get their contact by, let's pretend you put a poster, you want to put a copy, and you want to put a link where you collect their name, their phone number, and their email so that you can continue engaging them. Because if you're just posting on social media, the person, it may not be their right name, it may be a pseudonym, so you're really chasing the wind. So that is a whole other class that we can do another time. So data analytics will help you. Data analytics will help you know who is coming to your social media spaces, which countries are coming, which countries are interested, so that you can sell more to those countries or focus more on those countries. And like us, who you are guessing or we are finding when chamber is going somewhere, and we look for sponsorship and go also. So navigating export risk is very critical. Identifying and assessing potential risk. You must understanding what happens in that country. And these are some of the things that the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce can help you with. Also, the trade attaches of, I don't say the trade, the commercial sections of embassies here can also help you with that kind of information. But one thing I need you to understand is that this work can be hard if you're doing it alone. So it is important that you join an organization that is involved in export. And one of the organizations I've already said is the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They do have different subscription prices. And once you join an association, don't just be there because I've paid my fees. You don't show up, you don't connect with people. Remember, you've invested in a vehicle to help you achieve a certain goal. So if you invest in Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, National KNCCI, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, you're investing so that you can get support to export. And support to export is you asking questions because the information is closer, not expecting that they're going to do everything for you. It is just a vehicle that can facilitate and make it easier for you. I hope you get that. So there's another one is Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT. OWIT also supports women to get into international trade. There's KenTrade. KenTrade has a lot of information on their. There's something called a single window that you can check what is exported where and what are the different procedures. So there is information today. You just need to look for it. So advantages of exports. What are the advantages of export? Expanded, of course, expanded market reach. You can access larger global markets. You can increase your sales and definitely your profit potential. You're going to be paid in another currency. Another currency can be good or bad because the way the dollar fluctuates is the time it really went up. We were having a good time. Then it went down after we were used to it being up. And then, people started suffering. So export markets expand your reach. They can help you diversify your revenue streams and increase competitiveness. They allow businesses to access global markets, reduce dependence on local markets, and boost innovation and quality. Reducing dependence on local market is critical so that you're not always complaining about what other Kenyans are complaining about. When I was doing trade, because there are different seasons, so whether there is economic downturn here or there is elections, the other place is okay. Although even abroad, you have to pay attention. Like now, the US was having their elections. So in the year where there's elections, and today elections are more volatile, you want to pay attention. What are we going to do this year? Which areas are we going to focus on? This year there's elections in Kenya. During election time, what are we going to do? Are we going to shut down like the other Kenyans, or what can we export and where to? So that can make part of your export strategy, so you are not always stuck with what is happening in Kenya. All right. So what kind of businesses do Kenyans run? I'm not going to read every slide. So as I speak, you read the slide, but you're going to get the slides. So what kinds of businesses do Kenyans run? Business to consumer. So we have, of course, we have tea, we have coffee, we have flowers, we have fresh produce like fruits and vegetables, and many of these are sold directly to consumers in international markets. You see, in Kenya, we have these things readily available. And so I think we imagine that is what happens in the other countries. Today we have AFCFTA, Africa Continental Free Trade Area, where African nations can trade with one another. Yes, there's some no, there's some tariff barriers that still need to be removed. It's not totally done, but I find it a huge opportunity. Like for instance, I've gone to countries where they didn't have milk. They didn't have milk at all. I've gone to countries where they didn't have fruit. They had tinned fruit. All right. And we have all this fruit. Sometimes we pour out milk. Sometimes we throw away cabbages. They don't have vegetables. All right. So it's a good time to it's a good time to explore which African nations can need what we have here or have what we don't have here. Then we do that exchange. It requires a deep pocket, so it requires a deep pocket, or you can partner. Remember, we talked about partnerships. You can find out who is already exporting. All right. The first time I started exporting, there was a bigger organization that was exporting. So I would supply that organization would export. The advantage of that was I didn't have to worry about the regulations and requirements. I needed to only worry about the standard of the products, bring them to that warehouse, and then that warehouse will pack, do all the documents, and then send it abroad. And then I get paid. Of course, they were making more money, but I was still making money. So the key thing is to ensure when you're doing your business development that whatever product you are selling, the margin is going to take care of your expenses, but it's also going to take care of your operational, all your expenses, all right? So you don't look too much at what the other guy is doing, because the other guy, the big warehouse, was doing all the headache work for me. You get that? But I was still making money. And so, in as much as I was on the value chain, remember there's me, and then there's the artisan who is creating the products, and then there's the big warehouse that is exporting. So I'm still on this value chain. So I'm still an exporter. All right. So you need to understand the value chain of what you want to export and see where you can plug in. This person at the beginning that was creating the products is also on the value chain. They can easily say they're exporting, but they are also selling locally. So they export through me. Everybody makes money. We have more jobs. We have more jobs for people in the country. So, pardon me, I have a cold. So, when it comes to just give me 1 second here. When it comes to handicrafts and fashion, I've talked about handicrafts. Handicrafts and fashion are very popular in other countries because they don't have some most countries don't have wooden carvings or stone carvings like we have. Some have special stones like malachite and other stones that they sell. So for Kenya, we are leading in tea, we are leading in coffee and flowers, fresh produce like fruits and vegetables. Many of these are sold directly to consumers to international markets. All right. So, and the key thing to note here is that they want volumes. All right. Like when we used to sell artifacts, we would send containers. All right. So you will require extra resources to be able to export, or you'll require to have strategic partnerships so that you work together. We have strategic partnerships of people producing, and then we also have strategic partnership with the warehouse, and then they ship and we get paid. So other businesses that Kenyans run, there's tourism. Tourism is great. And one of the things about, I'd like to share about tourism, we were in tourism and we chose a very particular niche. That time my husband was still alive and we did tourism to Japanese. We did tourism to Japanese because he spoke fluent Japanese. He had lived in Japan, I think 20 years prior, so he spoke Japanese. And then we didn't do tourism for animals. Okay, we did okay, we didn't do just animals, come and see the elephant and all that. We did animal and plants. So we went to schools where the Japanese were learning, were studying animals, they were studying plants, they were studying birds, and then we partnered with those kinds of institutions to see which are the animals, plants, or birds that they would like to come and see in Kenya. And we would now do our research here to know which parks have those animals and birds and what is a good time for them to come. And it just happened that the good time for them to come was low season. And low season is a great time to bring tourists because the prices are low and the parks are not full. They can watch the birds. So it worked out to our advantage because we did the research. So another tourism is now because of agriculture, you can do tourism for people to go and see how to farm or how farms are here and that kind of thing. Another thing that tourists like to know how we live because when you go abroad the first time they ask you if you're living on a tree. When I first went to America in 1980, maybe it was 85 or so. It was 1989. Was it 89 or 89 or 90 there? And they were asking me if it was the first time I was wearing dress, you know. So I didn't get angry. I was just thinking, how ignorant can you be that you don't know that we already wear dresses and we don't live on trees? So I'll just say yes. Of course, some people will get offended. So why am I sharing that? Today we live in an age that people get offended so easily. When you just say something, oh, you have triggered me, oh, I don't know what. People are so fickle. So as a business owner, you can't afford to be like that you get offended about everything people say. You must know who you are, where you're going and what you want, and just don't mind so much about other people's opinions. Focus on your opinion, respect their opinion, but focus on yours and keep going. So another thing you can do is you can do tours to get people to go to and see Ushago because they want to see. We did that. We used to bring them, and our Ushago is by the lake, and we'll take them to the lake with fish. Then we'd bring the fish back home, and they'd see that we had dancers because they really liked that. So that gave us a competitive advantage. So when you're getting into export, you want to look around and see what what might people like? If it already exists, how can you change it so that it's a little better? Innovation is just being 10 steps better than somebody else. It's not inventing, it's just improving. So we always laugh at Japanese and say that Japanese copy, but I want to say Japanese are innovative. In their copying because whatever they produce is something that already exists, but they produce it better. So there's processed foods and beverages. A lot of people today are doing like chili sauces and are doing different flours. And that is another whole realm. You need to go to QD and KEBS for them to help you understand what are the regulations, what are the standards. So you abide by that and have the appropriate signs that you need to get that done. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to stop here a little bit and see if there are any questions because I need to sip something. My throat is really cracking. Do we have any questions? You
We
just
actually
at the
have some hands up. Um,
okay. Can you help me with them,
yes,
please?
yes. Let me begin with Augustine. Maybe you can try and
Okay.
speak, Augustine.
Okay, Sim, talk to us.
I'll also allow Tasnim, so the one who's able to speak.
Okay. Augustine and Tasmin, let's hear from you. Unmute and speak.
Okay, I think they might have some challenges with
Do you
with
want to put in the chat or did they lift up their hand by mistake?
yeah. Okay, we have
3 participants raised hand. Okay.
yeah, we had Augustine and Tasnim. I think it might have been by mistake. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. If you like, you
Okay.
can put it in the questions so that we can address them. Uh, Augustine raised hand. Augustine, are you okay? All right. So we're going to carry on. You can put your question in the chat. So business to business, manufacturing and processing. Now, doing the sauces, that is manufacturing. It is a cottage industry, but you're a manufacturer, all right? Doing grains, like how people do muesli now and stuff like that, you're manufacturing. So Kenyan manufacturers export items like processed foods, textiles, and packaging materials. These goods are often sold to businesses that use them in further production or distribution. So that is also another line that you can consider when it comes to packaging material. We don't use plastics anymore, but there are still countries that use plastic. All right. So you can, if that is something that you used to do or something that you're interested in, you can look into that. IT and technology services, Kenyan companies in fintech, business process outsourcing, software development often export their services to global corporations. Just like India is, people like India because their prices are more reasonable. All right. So Kenya is also getting into that space. So if you're in IT, I always say young people, if I had to go back to school, I would do something in IT. So doing business process outsourcing, a lot of organizations now have call centers in Africa or even here in Kenya because it's cheaper to have a call center here. The money they pay us is still much more than what we would get ordinarily, but much cheaper in their country. All right. So having call centers, doing work online like graphic design, doing transcription, there's platforms that you can do things like that. If you go to Upwork or just the Google online work, and you find different ones, and then you go ahead and follow the process there. So agribusiness and supply chains. The key thing about agribusiness is, like I said earlier, there's a you don't have to be the farmer that is putting the seed on the soil. All right, you can be the one that comes after they have done all the hard work during the harvest and take it to the market. But there's a whole value chain here. There's a person who plants, there's a person who harvests, there's a person who packages it, then there's a person who takes it to the logistics company so that it goes abroad, and then abroad there's the person who picks it up and takes it to the retail store. So you decide, in this agribusiness value chain, this is what I want to do. Like I always make fun and say that I don't want, I know farming has a lot of money, but I don't want to be a farmer. But I'm happy to come when they have harvested. I'm happy to come at the point that we can package and brand and sell. So you decide which one are you good at and which one do you want to do. Construction and real estate services. I've seen some investment companies do a lot of construction abroad. Okay, let me not say abroad, across the border, like in Rwanda, in Tanzania, So here we buy land and then we speculate, all right? But over there, they buy land and then we go and do the construction there for them. But that is a big investment. So when I say that is a big investment, if you're an SME, never ever feel that, oh, that is not for us. Anything you say is not for you will never be for you. So the key thing for you is to have a vision. What are the problems that exist that I want to solve? What are the problems that exist abroad that I can solve? And how am I going to go about it? Always find the starting place. Starting is always small, but you start small in a way that you can scale. To start small in a way that you can scale means that you're going to have standards. You're going to have standards that when I produce this thing, this is the weight, this is the size. all the time. So then that becomes scalable because somebody might say, I need a container of that. And they will not take any excuse if they all don't look the same. All right. So those are things that you need to think of. So exporting in East Africa, the export environment between the East African countries, there are regional trade agreements, and the regional trade agreements facilitate smoother trade by reducing tariffs. Tariffs is the amount of money that you need to pay because of the things that you're bringing in. Just like when you're traveling into Kenya, you always see there's a there's a there's a there's a part that says nothing to declare, and then there's a part that is green that says goods to declare. When you have goods to declare, it means that you have brought a bigger assumption, a bigger consumption than just for you. You are going to resell. So you have to go through that part so that they check and they charge you so that you pay the right amount of taxes. So when we have trade agreements, the amount of taxes we pay are reduced or totally removed depending on where it is that we are exporting. And one way to know these things is you must be in touch with the Keproba. Keproba is for getting things out. Kentrade is another good place. And of course, our good friends, Kerry. All right. So Kere is your partner, whether you like it or not. That is your first partner. All right. So just deal with it and know how to manage them. The next thing is infrastructure development. Enhanced transport infrastructure like roads and railways has improved logistics and trade efficiency. I've been told that sometimes our pricing in Kenya is high, so people go through Tanzania, Dar es Salaam to avoid the cost. And this is not something that we can deal with except we get into the path of advocacy to advocate and say that these costs are hurting us. Because of this kind of cost, we cannot sell and make money, or if we sell, we get little, or if people go to the other countries, we are losing on sales, and that affects our economy, but also affects us individually. All right. So some of the challenges that people experience are non-tariff barriers, regulatory inconsistencies. You can go and like that sounds like Carrie. Today they say it is this much, tomorrow they say something else. So sometimes that happens at the border delays when people are being checked. When people are being checked through, items are being checked, goods are being checked. If you've ever traveled to Uganda by road or to Rwanda by road, I'm sure you've experienced that because they stop you to check what is the luggage that you have so that they can uh, they can go through the regulatory process accordingly. Alrighty. Excuse me. Uh,
Sorry for that, Frida. Maybe I could also just ask some questions as we wait. And also, I don't know about everyone, but I am already so psyched up. I feel like I can start my an export business. So we have Patience Mumbi, who begins by saying it's an absolute joy to be trained by Frida again. She's one of the most resourceful person I know, and her question is around how can we export services. I think you touched on that a little bit, but maybe you can expound. Um, and maybe let me also couple it with one other question from Francis, who asks, are products or services taxed both from the domestic market and the country of export?
they're taxed in the country of export. There's license certificate, there's regulatory requirements in the country before you leave, but it's on the other side that you get to pay the tax, the excise duty. I believe that's what they call it. All right. So the key thing is to get for import and excise duty, you want to get in touch with KRA. I believe they even now have it on their website, but it is paid on the other side. On this side, you may need to pay for an export license, all right? And then the lady who wants to export services, I wish you could tell us what kind of service are you looking to export? Can they answer in the chat or unmute?
Yeah, Patience, I don't know if you would want to speak. Let me unmute you, and but you could also be yeah. So Patience, maybe you can proceed, or you can answer on the chat on the Q&A tab. I think we can give her some time as we continue.
Okay, fantastic. So East African trade is supported by regional agreements. I think I already said that. So what do Kenyans export to Uganda and Tanzania? Petroleum products, cement and construction materials, and then consumer goods like processed foods. I'm sure you had Nakumat was across the borders. Unilever, no, Bidco, I believe, is across the borders. So processed foods, beverages, and personal care products and popular exports to Uganda because they don't have factories the way we have here. So the people that are doing that are doing it at a big scale. However, you can be, remember, big scale should never scare you. You just want to check and see which part of this value chain can I be part of, all right? And still fulfill my mission and vision and still generate revenue to do the things that I love and enjoy. Tanzania, I mentioned earlier, plastics and packaging materials. Kenyan Kenyan business export plastics and packaging materials to Tanzania. We don't use plastics anymore. They still do. Agricultural inputs like fertilizers, seeds, and agricultural machinery to support Tanzanians' farming activities. But seeds, I want to just mention quickly, seeds you have to go through KEFIS so that you get the right approvals for exporting seeds. You can't just export seeds like that. So KEFIS is your go-to person for that. And they can also let you know which seeds are required in which countries so that you can organize yourself to have the right volumes and stuff like that. Machinery and electronics. Kenya also exports industrial machinery and electrical equipment. Now, this of course is something they buy from another country and then they sell to Tanzania. Just like we have people who buy phones and different kinds of things, uh, you can do that and sell on the other side if they are not available. Just like even in Nairobi, but this is not export. In Nairobi, you see shops with the same thing, all right? The same clothes, the same phones, the same equipment. What if you went to another country? You know, you can do intertrade in Kenya. You can go to another county to find out what don't they have. The people who import cars and sell to the counties. Look at Nairobi. We have so many yards that are full of cars, all right? But there are places that don't have car yards. They also need cars. So I think even before we export, we need to look at the counties. We can start with the counties to find out what can we take to the counties, what do we have a lot in where we reside or in where we are functioning that another county doesn't have. Just like I said earlier, it pains me when milk is poured out or cabbages are thrown, potatoes are thrown because there's an oversupply. But in the Asal region, like in our Wajir and Mandera, they don't have that stuff. So what if the people that are planting that stuff in Nyandarua organize themselves and go to the Asal County and find out, let them know that during this season we are going to have potatoes, have contracts with them, speak to the county government or whatever, have some kind of exhibition. So, and then they can sell that. It is possible, but it's just that nobody has thought of it. Nobody is willing to invest the time and resources to do it. But remember, when you invest the time and resources to do it, then you're going to be the first person to do it. Others will follow you. But most importantly, you're going to change the way you live and the way that area, the way people live in that area. So when we're talking about export, we need to be willing to explore beyond our comfort zone. We need to be willing to do things maybe that nobody else has ever done to help us remain on the competitive edge. All right. So moving along here. So again, what SMEs export, this is really a repetition. Everything that I said, the handicrafts, the textiles, the processed foods, the cosmetics and personal care products. Now we have contract manufacturing where you can manufacture with a bigger organization the different self-care products that you need, but not just the self-care products, even the processed foods, because investing in manufacturing equipment can be expensive for a beginning exporter. So instead of investing in that, you can uh, There's an industrialization zone. I was trying to think of, the name has skipped off my mind. Because EPZ, they they prepare things for export, all right? So you can find out who is already exporting, or who is already manufacturing, that you can work with to get your things manufactured. So they will manufacture for you. All you need to do is package, and then you export it. And personal care products are popular in Uganda because they are beautiful. They like to look beautiful, all right? And I hear even right here in Kariobangi, we have a whole industry going on. But don't do the Kariobangi one that will give people rashes. Just invest in something that is more durable and sustainable. The lady who asked about how to export services, has she answered?
Yes, she
This is
has. Yes, yes.
okay.
So it's Patience. She's saying she's a life coach, but she would like to coach internationally. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the easiest thing. Okay, let me be careful how I say that. Because one, to coach internationally, you can coach online. And coaching online, you can use Zoom or Teams or any other platform. But the key thing again is you need to package it. You need to do your research, you need to do your business development, and then you need to find out who needs who needs this coaching. Because coaching has become really popular. So you want to find out either through research on social media or other ways. But the key thing is you want to find out who needs the kind of coaching that you're doing and where. One thing you can do is you can have a webinar, you can boost so that you get the kind of target audience that you want. And at the end of the webinar, you can have a call to action where you give a teaser of a product. Could be like a challenge. Let's pretend you're coaching in wellness. So you can have a wellness challenge. When you have a 5-day wellness challenge, you do it online, on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, or on Zoom. And on your challenge, if you do your, because people want to know who is going to coach them. Coaching is a relational service. So you can't just put, you want to coach people and it's going to be $1,000 a month and they don't know you, they've never had you. So starting with a challenge, which can be a free challenge, and you make it very intentional and interactive. Like maybe you say it's a 5-day challenge on improving your wellness, and then every day you're showing up on video and showing them what it is to do. Then at the end of it, now you tell them the big package. All right, you have an X number of days. A way to get to optimize your wellness, and it's going to cost you X amount. You see, so you must find a way of giving people a teaser. All right. Because remember, those people that are going abroad, they're going abroad to take samples. So how will people sample your service? I said it is easy because you can do it from the comfort of your home. You don't have to get into an aeroplane. All right. Now the catch is digital tax. All right. Because you're a registered company. There's a digital tax, and for the digital tax again, that is KRA, or we can get you an accountant to help you think that through. So anything that we're doing online with our business name is liable to tax. But I say it's the easiest because you can do it right from the comfort of your home. You can travel and you don't have to tell people the office is closed because I'm traveling. It's the best thing that you can do. And you can make money and you can create community. I hope I've answered your question. You can put a Y in the chat if I have. All right. So when we look at the top goods, you'll notice that they're the same. All right, they're technically really the same. We keep going back to tea, coffee, and horticultural products, textiles and apparels, manufactured goods. And a good way to know what is happening is you can, like I already said, go to Kenya National Chamber, Keproba, to find out where the shows are online. Nowadays, online, you find that when there's a show or a trade exhibition somewhere, there's an opportunity to participate online. And when you participate online, you'll get the sessions, but you'll also have a booth where you can meet with buyers and get to know. So don't overlook virtual sessions, because the buyers are comfortable with virtual. We are not comfortable with virtual. We always want physical sessions, all right? I'm very impressed by all of you that are here this morning. So this is a sign of the world where we are going. So You can you can Google for virtual trade exhibitions. You can network with people in the virtual lounge. You can get to know them. You can do a webinar, not a webinar, you can do a virtual meeting like we're doing right now, and you are able to show the product. They may not feel, they may not have a feel of it, but they can see it. And then the big thing is sending the samples across and also thinking through the logistics of it. If I was going to use DHL, of course it's going to be very expensive using DHL. So if I'm going to do air freight, which airline goes to the country where I want it to go? What is it going to cost? So that you make sure that you include that in the cost of the things that you're selling, so that you're not losing out on money. How easy is it? Because we often talk about how hard is it. Everything is first hard before it becomes easy, especially if you're doing it for the first time. If you're doing it to change your life, it's going to be hard. But the good news is there are others who have done it before us. And I can't say it enough. Do not walk alone if you want to get into export. Get into the right associations so that you can get the help that you need. OWIT is for women. Organization of Women in International Trade. Get in touch with the KEPROBAS, get in touch with KenTrade, get in touch with the commercial section of the embassies of where you want to export. Do not send anything out before you have tested. Me, even just buying things online, I am very skeptical, all right? So make sure you have contracts in place and stuff like that. I think that I have a slide here for the different documents that you need. So exporting top goods is relatively streamlined due to established supply chains. If you're plugging into a supply chain that already exists, it's not as difficult. Like what I explained to you, what I used to do at the beginning. I was getting the products, I was selling it to a warehouse, the warehouse was selling it abroad. So I was part of a bigger supply chain. When we were doing tourism, we were not, we worked with students, and students, we brought them during low season. That meant the safari cars were cheaper, hotels were cheaper, and we didn't plan it that way. It's just that the research we did and found out what kind of tourists can we bring besides the regular tourists that comes to see the big five. And we discovered that through conversation, strategic partnership, and that is what we did. And it worked out well that we could do it in the low season and make more money. All right. So SMEs often face hurdles such as high shipping costs. Now, I don't want to call that a hurdle, all right? Because like if you want to go to, there's a friend of mine who's trying to go to Japan, and the ticket is 1,700 or something. So you can't say that is a hurdle. No, if you want to go to Japan, you must pay the cost for going to Japan. If you want to drive a Mercedes, you must pay the cost of trying to drive a Mercedes. So I think as SMEs, I want to say we have that opportunity to look at challenges differently and to understand that if we're going to do something of worth, there's going to be a requirement for investment. A requirement for investment could be your time, could be getting extra skills, could be getting extra money. And extra money when it comes to export, there's trade financing. Thank God Kenya Bankers Association is our partner, but most importantly, DTB. So you go to DTB, that is not a regular loan. You're looking for trade financing. What are the risks involved? They'll talk to you, they'll see how to help you. What am I saying? For everything that we want to do as SMEs to grow our businesses, there is help available. Let us not fall back and say, oh, SME ni ngumu. No, Ngumu is not having the information, but today there's information. All right. My mom was a trader, and her first business was, I really learned from her because she was selling different things to a warehouse too, and they were being exported, and she was helping other women, you know. So the key thing is if a woman who didn't go to school was able to trade, how much more you who lives in the world that you're living today? She got help through Maendeleo ya Wanawake. I think that time that was the only organization. But now I've told you more than one organization. So as SMEs, we no longer have excuses. I'm sorry. So these are some key organizations for export that you need to talk to and get to know them. And we have KEPROBA. You probably heard me say KEPROBA, Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, is the main organization responsible for assisting businesses with export readiness. They have They have a program they do for export readiness. They do product. They do how to create products or something so that your products are international standard, market research, export procedures. So this is a place that you must visit if you want to export. Don't try to do everything by yourself, going to Google and going to YouTube and saying, oh, I don't know anybody there. No, that is their work. That is what they do. You can ask them where are some trade shows, where are the trade shows happening this year? Is Kenya going to any? Is there sponsorship for SMEs? And if there isn't, it's not the end of the world. Put your money together and find a way to go. Kenya Bureau of Standards ensures that products meet quality and safety standards required for international markets, and then you get the little stamp. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. But if you're working through an association, there's more of you going to these spaces, then you get better attention. Because every now and then they have different programs. There could be an export readiness or a standardization thing or the other. So you'll be there and you can be able to benefit. So your investment in an association is not to get your money back. Your investment in an association is to get information that will help you get the right, that will help you make the right decisions, is to help you get linkages, because they may have a directory, they may know when the trade show is. So that already is a link. You don't have to crack your brain doing it. So always remember, an association is an investment for learning and linkages, getting information for you to make the right decision. So you're not just going there, oh, I paid 15,000 and I never got my money back. No, you're not paying to get your money back. You're investing to get information and to get access to linkages, to get access to other entrepreneurs so that your business can grow. All we need is a paradigm change. Kenya Revenue Authority, our best friend, handles export customs procedures, taxes, and duties. They're more friendly now. There's a lot of information on their website. You can walk in and ask for help. You can walk on their website and ask for help. You can send an email and you'll get help. And of course, I've talked about Kenya National Chamber of Commerce the most. Uh, how does the chamber assist businesses? I already shared this through international partnerships. Most organizations, when they want to trade with a country, they come through the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. So Kenya National Chamber of Commerce always gets to know what is going on, what is required. So it's a good place to be. They do training and capacity building, but they also support with export documentation. These are some of the major exports for Kenya. I've talked about them a number of times. You can take a screenshot. If you don't get to take the screenshot, don't worry. You're going to get it in your package. All right, some other key destinations. There's the European Union. We recently signed a trade agreement. We, as in Kenya, signed a trade agreement with them. Flowers, tea, and coffee do well there. There's some seeds, not seeds. There's some countries that take avocado. Did I say horticulture? They have horticulture is the word to use. And then there's the United States of America. There's the there was the AGOA Act, African Growth and Opportunity Act, which has a number of items that we can sell to the United States. The act is supposed to be renewed. I don't think it has been, but there has been talks about renewing it so that we can get access of selling certain items to the US. And the good thing about US, there's always information. So I'm sure if you go to their website, Department of Commerce, and look for AGOA, you'll find the information. Then there's the Middle East, countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE. And UAE, they import agricultural products, also including tea and flowers. So like I said earlier today, this is to give you information of where you can start. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. As I share my screen now, you're going to see the top exports. So you see here tea. Tea is one of the largest, Hapa. And then we have cut flowers. Then we have coffee. Then we have tropical fruits. And we also have, no, this is Titania. And then this is the tropical fruits. All right. So I always say that iko kizungu mingi, alafu iko situation on the ground. So situation on the ground, just go to some of those organizations that have shared, ask your questions, especially if you have an idea of what you want to export so that you can get ready. You can start getting ready. All right. I see another raised hand, but we are coming to the end of this. There's one slide I want to show you. This is just data of the different. Yeah, this is where I want to show you. Before we get into questions and answers, we have done an hour. When you're exporting things to the US, this is something people don't always know, especially those people who like to carry food in their suitcase and say, oh, I'm going to sell sausages in America. I'm going to sell Royco and cubes in America because I've been told diaspora are really looking for sausages. If you do that without going through the FDA, you could get into trouble. So the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration of the US. So you need to get certain products must be registered with the FDA before export and proper documentation is required. Okay. So meeting FDA standards ensures smooth customs clearance and successful market entry into the US. So if you want to sell food, you want to make sure, and again, you can go to the commercial section of the US Embassy and find out if the food you want to sell can be actually exported. And even if you're going to carry it in your suitcase, you want to know what is required. Otherwise, it will be confiscated at the airport. Carrying things in the suitcase is not export. It's just carrying things in the suitcase. And that's a story for another day. All right. So yeah, this is where I want to end. By please take a screenshot. When you're exporting, these are documents you must have. So if you're carrying things in the suitcase you're going to sell on the streets, that is all right. You're going to make some money, but you're not exporting. You are, I like it, somebody laughs. So a commercial invoice is a detailed invoice including buyer, seller, goods description, and the value. Just like a regular invoice you give somebody you're selling to locally. But most importantly, as SMEs, if you're going to export, you must get your processes in order. All right, your processes in order from end to end. When somebody sees that thing on social media or when an order comes up, what will happen? Who will do what until they get it? And until money is in the bank. Because as SMEs, we tend to post something on social media when we are broke, and then somebody wants to buy. The other day I was trying to order shirts, and I remember there's somebody who has been telling me, please give me an order for shirts, give me an order for shirts. So I gave her the order for shirts. And the first thing she asked me was for a deposit. So for me, that was a red flag, but because I wanted to help them, I gave them the money. So you need to understand that when you're going to export, you must be ready and willing to use your own money. You can't be that SME that always wants a deposit for everything, and then you say, sina pesa, then hauko kwa biashara. All right, but that's a story for another day. So you need a commercial invoice, you need a packing list that details the contents, the weight, and the packaging. You need a bill of lading. This is a transportation contract between the shipper and the carrier, just so that they once you have the things have been shipped, you send them that so that they can know that the items are on the way, whether they're shipped or they're going air freight. Certificate of origin confirms the origin of phytosanitary certificate ensures that agricultural products are free from pests. In Kenya, we get it from KEPHIS. And then export permit license, there's somebody asking about what we need to pay on this side, required for certain goods and has a fee for certain goods. Health certificate, necessary for food products to meet EU health standards. And then CE marking for products like electronics indicating compliance with EU regulations. And then IDF required for customs clearance, and then customs declaration. And like I said earlier, I assure you that you cannot start exporting tomorrow. You need to go and do your research, do your business development, and determine who is the appropriate buyer for your products before you start. And that is not to discourage you. That is just to let you know that export is possible. Export will expand your market. Export will diversify your revenue, but there's a preparation that is required before you get into it. And most importantly, there is help available with institutions like a proba, where you can go and find out how to get plugged into their programs for export readiness. So Kenya's export documentation varies based on destination with the EU or whichever country you're going to. Specific certificates and compliance measures are required. Proper documentation ensures smooth customs clearance and adhere to international trade standards. You see, international trade standards, if that is the size it's supposed to be, the length, the width, the breadth, that is it. If there's a certain weight, that is it. They're not going to take it just because you're from Kenya and you're an SME or you're a woman-owned business. We can't pull those ones over there, all right? But I always say if somebody else is doing it, that means it is possible. So you can too. So let us open our minds. Let us be more open thinking and forward thinking and get the job done, knowing that as an SME, you are here to transform our environment and to transform our economy. Thank you very much. I will stop here and answer any questions that there may be. Asante Lisada.
Thank you so much, Frida. That was really wonderfully done. So I think we can proceed on a 10-minute break, and then we come
Okay.
back now and just focus on the questions. So please share your questions on the chat. We have, as you've noticed, more time today to handle the questions, and we will mix it up, those on the chat and then those also of people who've raised their hands. So thank you so much, Frida. And we can proceed on a 10-minute break. So we'll be back at let's be back at 10:25, and then now we can now focus on the questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And gentlemen, we'll come back from our short break. So we continue, and right now we'll just go into the Q&A session. And maybe just, Frida, I could begin by saying, for those maybe who've just joined in, or as a sort of recap, what would be your practical advice to someone getting into export? Like now, just take us through a sort of recap of step by step. Tomorrow, I have realized I would want to get into export. What would be the steps to take? Thank you.
Okay, you can hear me. I was actually answering the questions in the chat, but
Yeah.
here we are. There's one last one I started answering. Let me just put the answer for them and then I'll answer. So for that person who is joining now, one thing I can tell you is that export is a great way to diversify your market. It's a great way to expand your reach and diversify your revenue stream. However, it requires some work. And the first work it requires is for you to do a strategic business development for your organization to understand what problems are you currently solving, what solutions are you providing that are needed beyond the borders. And beyond the borders is which country? We said earlier that market research is going to be critical. You can do market research, desktop research. You can go to commercial sections of the country that you want to export to, and you can do desktop research. But the key thing is you need to understand clearly what does the other country need and how are you going to provide it? Because providing it will require that you understand you have a logistical uh, strategy. How will the items be bought? How will they be transported? How will you get paid? So it's a little hard to give you a nutshell version of what we have done for 1 hour, but you're going to receive the slides. I hope you're going to receive the recording, and that is where I can encourage you to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Frida. And yes, we will be sharing the slides and the recording. I can see Frank has his hand up. Frank, we also do see your questions. And as Frida has mentioned, they're a little bit out of the scope of the training, but what we would encourage is also for questions. You can share your questions also to the email provided on the Zoom email that you get, and we'll try our best to answer most of them, even on taxes. As I think we covered the tax module some time back. And yeah, we will engage our trainers and try and answer the questions. So I can read a question from Augustine, who says, in the export department, do insurance companies in Kenya offer insurance policies that cover losses in case the goods go missing or get rejected?
That's a very good question. Yes, there are different organizations that provide think it's called aquatic insurance or something, but there is insurance. The thing about insurance is when you're ready to export, you can contact the different insurance agencies. If they don't have, they're going to guide you on which one is most suitable, but definitely it is possible.
Great, thank you. I can see Ramadan has his hand up. So
Okay.
Ramadan, you can try and speak. All right. I don't know, Ramadan, if you're able to speak, maybe unmute. As he does that, we have Beatrice as well. Yes, Ramadan.
Yes, my focus was actually on my specific. I wanted to ask about getting it's more of import other than export, getting like machineries from China for SMEs. Sometimes it's a hurdle for us.
Uh-huh. Describe hurdle, Ramadan.
Like in freighting things to do with taxes. Like for instance, I can identify a machine, say 500,000 or something, but considering the freight and generally the procedure sometimes looks like it's it's complex. Is there a way that for us small players, we can easily engage and get things run smoothly for us? Maybe through
Okay.
a body or something like that.
Uh, I'll be honest with you. This might sound offensive.
So
Okay.
sorry.
I'm saying what I'm going to say might offend you, but I'm going to be gentle. Do you give me permission or no? You see, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Um, the things that you want to import, are other people importing them already?
Uh, well, what I'm thinking, maybe it's quite new.
Okay. So when I talk to SMEs, and I'm going to be gentle with this because when I give people this kind of feedback, they get offended. But the truth is, as SMEs, when we want to do something, the first thing we need to avoid is thinking because we are a small player, we need help. Number one. Number two, we need to, like I said earlier, we need to go to the commercial section of that embassy and find out, I want to import XYZ. Which are the organizations that, I can deal with? When you go to the embassy, you are likely to get the best help. All right. Number three, when it comes to the investment that it will require, it will definitely require time and money. So just like you decide, I want to buy a car, or I want to go on a matatu, or I want to do Uber. Those are personal decisions, isn't it? So based on what you want to do, what can you do yourself as Ramadan? Who else is in that space that you can work with? All right. So that you have a collaborative approach to it. What I know about SMEs is we are one of the most powerful groups of people if we can just change the way we think, stop thinking we are small, and find out how all these small pieces can come together to make a big ripple effect, then we'll make it. All right. But normally we want to quickly go here, go here, go here, na utapata. It doesn't work like that because life is a process. But the fact that there are other people coming in from China, you can too. Just start with the right paradigm, go and get the appropriate information, look for the appropriate strategic alliances, then you'll get it done. Hapo sawa?
Thank you for the insight.
Okay. You can do anything you want to do if you'll just be patient enough to invest in getting the information and what is needed. All the best. Next.
Thank you, Ramadan. We have Beatrice. Beatrice, you can speak. Yeah.
Partly it's like my question has been answered. So yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Beatrice. All right. So we have a question from Dorothy, and it touches on when we talked about exporting of food and especially fruits. So what types of fruit do you recommend for beginners and why? What are your strategies for marketing and selling your fruit, and how do you determine pricing for your products?
Okay, that is a good question for FPCK. FPCK is Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya. All right. As Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya, they'll be able to tell you what to export. I won't so much think of it as what is good for a beginner, but anyway, they can tell you the range so that you can get the information so that you make an informed decision. So Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya, FPCK. All right.
Great. Thank you. So we have Patrick, who's also asking something around services. He says, I would like to sell my economics knowledge as a consultant, but I don't know where to begin. What am I supposed to do? Yeah.
All these things I've said this morning, you still don't know what to do. The first thing is get the right information. If you're an economics consultant and you want to sell your information, you want to sell your services, who requires that information? If you don't know, ask Google, ask ChatGPT. I think we have so much information and so many tools where we can start. So the first thing is you always want to do your research. And all that research means is finding out who needs this thing out there. Is there somebody else out there doing this? And those are questions Google can answer. Who needs economic consultants? What kind of work does an economic consultant do? Who hires economic consultants? Then you have information to start. When you see us in these webinars, we are generalists, all right? So, and another consultant will try and answer that question just to impress you. So we need to be careful where we get our information from, my friends. But that is what I can give you for now, Mr. Economic Consultant, all right? Google who needs, I'm sure even when you're studying that, maybe there was a reason why you studied based on how you can export it or how you can utilize it. Go back to that. Go back to your school. Who requires economic consultants today? All right. What do they do? How much are they paid? That information, just type those on Google. I'm sure you'll get some answers. To start, then you don't stop there. The answers you get, find out more, and then you map out your strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frida. So I think I can finish with one more question. And again, I think it's just maybe a way to reinforce the session. We have an anonymous attendee who asks, what are the critical steps for an SME to establish itself in international markets, especially with limited resources? Yeah.
Remove that limited resources, all right? Because you're already limiting yourself. What are the critical steps? Be a formal, a formal organization, a formal company. Be successful at home, because you cannot be successful abroad before you are successful at home. Doing business abroad means that I'm doing so well in Kenya, I need to expand. So those are the three things that you need to do. Be formal, be established at home, find out across borders who is looking for an organization like you or looking for products and services that you provide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think what is really coming out is for the exports and trade in general, it's a mindset thing, first of all, before we even begin to look out for the documentation and all of that. So I think one key takeaway, at least from what I'm gathering, is that our mindsets in the right place. So I do want to read a few of we had the key takeaways that we've had from participants. I would want to read a few of them.
Yeah.
but I'm having a bit of a challenge so as I sort that out, I think what I can ask you is your closing remarks. Having interacted with some of the questions and where people are at in terms of the export space and trading in general, and from your experience, I just would love you to share your closing remarks and what you would want, if anything, that participants can remain with from this module. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mansuli, and thank you so much, DTB and KBA, for having me today. The first thing I'd like to tell entrepreneurs is that no matter how small you may be today or feel today, you are a growing concern. Just like a baby starts small and it is fed, it is given the right inoculations, it grows, and it grows with a plan. We are thinking, oh, this is the school I want to take my child, and then we're investing to make sure we have the money to take the child in that school. So also is your business. If you want to export, it starts with the mission that you use to set your company up. What are you doing and why are you doing it? For instance, you are told I'm the founder of Passion Profit. At Passion Profit, we help people turn their passion into profit because there are people who have gone to school, they're saying, I have papers, but I don't have work. So we help them package those papers into a revenue stream. So why are you running that business? What is your vision? How will the world be better because you exist? Okay. What is your mission? Why are you doing it? Okay. And how can you do it in such a way that you're not just doing it in Kenya, you're also doing it beyond? Like some of the services we have in Kenya, they're not in the other countries. Kenya, we are told we are some of the most brilliant people in Africa. All right. So that is, we have an avenue to export our services. Our customer service is very good, but not as good as Rwanda, but it's better than Tanzania. Okay. Can you go and train the Tanzanians? Will they allow you to get in? What will you need to do that? There are organizations in Kenya that are also in Tanzania. Can you write a proposal to them? Being an entrepreneur is the most creative and innovative thing that you can do. All these challenges we keep citing, all these hurdles we keep citing, those are opportunities for us to create and innovate so that we have something that does not exist, and then we'll be the game changers. So never look down on yourself. Never feel that I'm just a small going concern. No, you're a growing concern, and you will grow and make a difference if you think so. And if you do so, I can talk forever, but I wish you well. And just remember, you're the backbone of Kenya. Backbones are not weak. You're a strong, strong, strong group of people. I appreciate you for your time, and I give it back to Mantuli.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're getting your rounds of applause, your virtual rounds of applause. So thank
I
you. And
see
thank you
them. Thank
for,
you.
yeah, thank you for the honesty and the transparency about this space and what it takes to get into it. And as we conclude, I just want to read, we had shared a poll just to gather what the key takeaways have been so far. And allow me just to read a few of them as we conclude. So we have someone, Dabuki, who says the key takeaway is the necessity of understanding the market dynamics of where you're aiming to trade. Seasons, government policy, culture, etc. are very important to understand before you engage in cross-border trade. Then we have Wanjiru, who says that there are several regulations to adhere to if you want to engage in cross-border trade. For instance, exporting food products to the USA requires you to adhere to the FDA regulations. And we have Sumba, who says exports help in showcasing our raw talents to the world at large and marketing our country, thereby greatly contributing to our economy. So I think you have students who have really
They have
paid
done
attention,
well.
yes, and have gotten the gist of the space. And so I see, Catherine, your hand is up. I will allow you to speak. So Catherine, go ahead. You can unmute. Okay. So I think there's also a challenge with the audio. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Since this is the last module, allow me just to share the next steps, we will be collating the total number of hours of your attendance. And so we'll have a threshold of more than half. And so for all those who have met training hours that are more than half, we will share your certificates, digital certificates. So look out for that. Also on the DTB website, yes, we will upload all the modules as well as the presentations that have been shared over the 7 weeks. So we will send out a final email in the course of next week that will have a recap as well as the link. If you do not receive it next week, just look out for it the course of the month. Catherine, I can see you're able to speak.
Hi.
Hi, Catherine, go ahead.
No, I think I pressed it wrongly, but I just want to appreciate this session. It's been the best. I'm an entrepreneur, and I do small business I'm a small importer, and I think this was very encouraging. I won't give up. I'll continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And even from what Frida is saying, I think you should now not call yourself a small importer. So yes. Kenneth, you can go ahead. All right, I think. Okay, great. So, oh yes, Kenneth, you can go ahead. Okay, anyway, so thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as well, Frida, for taking the time. Allow me also to thank the DTB team who've been behind the scenes, Azmira, Ellie, and many more team members who have made these sessions. Association led by Rosaline and Bernice for being great partners in this initiative. I also want to thank our trainers who have been with us from the beginning, right from Duncan to William to Mr. Momanyi, today to Frida. We also do honor Annabelle, who has left us, but she has been a great part of this journey with us. Even in her absence, we still feel her impact. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and to you participants, thank you for the commitment, for showing up for these sessions over and over again. As always, we continue to look for ways to improve the program, and we have received your feedback, seeing how we can engage you even before the annual sessions. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Our emails remain open to engagement, and we will continue engaging. So look out for the email from Zoom as well as from us, giving a recap of all the sessions. And as we send out the survey tomorrow, you'll receive a survey from Zoom asking you for your feedback. Please do take the time to just give us your feedback from all the sessions that we have had. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We finished a little earlier today, but I hope you have taken away key insights for your business. I'm sure that if you apply even 50% of what you have learned throughout the modules, your business will go far. I'll also want to thank got to mention Victor and Lillian and Faith, who have been our sign language interpreters throughout the module. Thank you so much for the dedication and for helping us be a more inclusive initiative. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We will be sending out the emails with all the updates and all the information. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you so much, Frida, for finishing the last session with a bang.
Wow, thank you. It was fun. Thank you very much. I can leave? I
Yes,
need to speak with you though.
Yes.
We can talk on phone.
Yes.
Whatever.